Hey everybody, Charlie Stevens here. Thanks so much for joining me for another guitar lesson. So, now that we've learned all of our strings on the guitar, we've worked our way all the way down here to the low E string. So now that we've learned this one, we can learn the pentatonic scale. Okay, so this is actually one of the first things I ever learned. I remember being on a camping trip or something like that, and somebody showing this to me. Okay, so we didn't really have to wait to get to all these strings, but that's just sort of the way I chose to present this information in this course. So it uses only the natural notes in the open position here. So we have E, then we have G, and we have A, B, D, and E again. So this is E, this is E. I didn't know that when I first started playing this. I don't think I even really knew that this was like the whole thing. We call it a pentatonic scale because there are 5 notes in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then here's E again, so that's 1 again. Okay, so I didn't really know that when I first started. I just memorized this shape, which is a great thing to do. You can memorize this shape and start improvising and just having fun. And so it's an awesome shape to know. But I also wanted to explain a little bit about what's going on in this as well. So like a pentagram or the pentagon, it has 5 sides, right? In this case, 5 notes, a pentatonic scale. So tonic is Greek for tone. So it's like the important note, the tonic. Okay, so we have 5 notes until we get back to the tonic. That's what pentatonic means. This is called an E minor pentatonic. We also have a major pentatonic scale as well, and we'll talk about that at another point. But the E minor pentatonic scale is the first one I ever learned. So that's what we were just doing here. E up to this E, and then you can keep going all the way up to this high E. And when I learned it, I would even play this G even above that one too. So I learned this more as like a shape, a box of an option of different notes I could play, more so than thinking about what the notes were that I was playing. Okay, so I think they're both useful. You know, if you're new to this, you can totally just memorize the shape and mess around with it and have fun. But as you get more and more advanced, you really want to know what these notes are, what their relationship is to the chords you're playing over, and things like that. So I'm going to tell you the names of the notes, but then we'll just kind of talk about the shape, okay? So we'll do it the hard way first. So we have E, G. Okay, so we learned on our notes of the 6th string that E is the open string and G is on the 3rd fret, right? Okay, now we have A, then B. These are both on the open, and then the 2nd fret, both on the 5th string. Okay, then we have D, and back to E. Open 2nd on the D string. Now, if we were to keep that pattern going, E, we get G, is now on the open string. A is next, that's here on the 2nd fret. B is next, that's on the open B string. Now we need a D, that's here on the 3rd fret of B. Now we need E, that's open E. Since this is also an E string, remember how we went to this note over here? Well, that means that this note over here must also be loud. And since we can reach it without shifting into a different position, we kind of include this one in our shape usually. Okay? Even though the scale could arguably end here at the open E string, because that's E again. So this one's a little funny because it actually goes past the open E string, which is I think why it was a little confusing to me to get into this other way of thinking about scales, because I kind of had a bad habit of thinking about scales as sort of shapes and not as the notes that are in them and things like that. So hopefully viewers of this channel will learn how to utilize both techniques, because I think shapes are a great way to do it as well. So in this one we're going to learn the shape, okay? So it's always a 2 notes for every string is how we're going to do this particular scale. We're always going to have 1, 2, 1, 2, change strings. We always get 2 notes, okay? Now, in the key of E minor, one of those notes, the first one, if we're going up, is always going to be an open string. So open, then we go to the 3rd fret. Okay, then open, then 2nd. Open, 2nd, open, 2nd, open, 3rd again, open, 3rd again. So that makes sense because this was open 3rd over here, so this one's open 3rd. And this one happens to be open 3rd on the B. All the rest of them are open 2nd. Right? So that's kind of cool. So that's how I memorized this when I was younger. I just memorized, open 3, open 2, open 2, open 2, open, I did it like that, and that was great. Okay, so let's try to play it all together here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And back down. Okay, so the pentatonic scale is something that occurs in different cultures throughout the world, even though they might use different systems of scales that are different from our Western major scale. Most systems of music throughout the world have this pentatonic, so there's something inherently cool about it. It's possibly in human nature. So really cool scale. This is really the building blocks for lots of different things, but especially blues and rock and roll. If you're interested in blues and rock and roll, most guitar players utilize pentatonic scale stuff most of the time. Yeah, it can kind of sound like everything. I mean, bluegrass really uses it. You'd be hard-pressed to find a style that never uses pentatonic scales, I think. But anyway, very important scale. So now that you know this, you're allowed to mix up the order and just have fun with it too. So it's important to practice it the way that we did, where you go in order, up and down, because you need to know that these notes are next to each other, right? There is a certain order that they're supposed to go in. But when you're improvising, making up music for fun, you don't have to stay in the order that they go to. You do need to know what it is, though, I think. Okay, so practice it ascending and descending, and then you can also practice just messing around. Okay, so that was just a simple idea where I only used 2 of the strings. Now let me do kind of the same idea, but with 3 of my strings, 6, 5, and 4. Basically just went up and down the scale, but it sounded more like a musical idea because I just felt like doing it that way. I wasn't locked into because the scale goes. I just kind of wanted to do it that way, right? So you should spend a lot of time just kind of jamming on this scale and getting really used to these notes. This is really a great framework for adding in other notes. We can add in a few other notes to this shape and get the ones that we're missing if we want. But learning these provides such a cool framework for a lot of different applications for improvising. Okay, so I hope you enjoy learning this E minor pentatonic. Please practice this well, and we will learn all sorts of different ways to play pentatonics in other keys using movable shapes. We'll learn all the different boxes to access all the different shapes of the pentatonic. We'll learn how the minor pentatonic overlays with the major pentatonic. Okay, that's a related thing as well. But for now, just have fun playing the E minor pentatonic. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next lesson.